The great hall of Nexus Prime stretched out like a crystal cathedral, its walls catching the light of distant stars. 847 different alien species filled the massive space, their forms ranging from towering insectoids to floating gas clouds that pulsed with inner light. At the center of it all stood Admiral Jiwan Park, her black uniform a stark contrast against the rainbow of alien delegates surrounding her. Jiwan kept her face calm as the ancient AI called the Confluence began to speak. Its voice echoed from everywhere at once, seeming to come from the crystal walls themselves. The matter before the Galactic Council today concerns the species known as humanity, from the world called Earth in the Sol system. Lieutenant Daeho Kim stood at Jiwan's right side, his hand resting on his sidearm out of habit. He had served with the Admiral for 5 years, and he could see the tension in her shoulders even though her face showed nothing. On her left, Dr. Mina Song clutched her datapad, filled with research about human contributions to galactic science and medicine. None of it would matter today. The Confluence continued its mechanical speech. Humanity has been a member of galactic civilization for 37 standard years. In that time, they have established colonies in 43 star systems, built trade relationships with over 200 species, and contributed significantly to medical and technological advancement. A murmur ran through the assembled aliens. Some of the sounds were pleasant like wind chimes in a breeze. Others were harsh clicks and growls that made Daeho's skin crawl. Jiwan had learned to read these alien voices over the years, and what she heard now was not good. However, the Confluence said, and the hall fell silent. Humanity has also shown patterns of behavior that concern this council. Their expansion rate exceeds all historical norms for new species. Their military conflicts, while successful, demonstrate a level of violence that disturbs many member species. Most troubling is their refusal to adapt to established galactic customs and their unpredictable responses to diplomatic situations. Captain Hyunwoo Lee watched from the bridge of his ship, the New Soul, orbiting high above the crystal world. His crew was silent as they listened to the transmission. Hyunwoo had fought in 3 border wars, protecting human colonies from raiders and hostile aliens. He knew what humans were capable of in battle, but he also knew they fought only to protect what was theirs. The evidence phase began, and one by one, alien species presented their complaints. The Valari, who had once been humanity's closest allies, spoke of human traders who refused to follow ancient commercial rituals. The Zephyrians complained that human colonists had terraformed worlds too quickly, disrupting natural evolutionary processes that took millions of years. The mighty Hegemon Empire, rulers of 60 systems, declared that humans showed insufficient respect for their elders in the galactic community. Dr. Mina Song wanted to speak, to defend her species, but Jiwan had forbidden it. "Let them talk," the Admiral had said before the session began. "Let them show their true nature." The worst testimony came from the Synthari, a species of beings that looked like walking crystal formations. Their speaker, a creature that sparkled with internal light, accused humanity of being a chaos species that would eventually destroy galactic peace. "They do not follow patterns," the Synthari declared. "They cannot be predicted or controlled. They are dangerous to the natural order." When the testimony ended, Jiwan was finally allowed to speak. She walked to the center of the Great Hall, her footsteps echoing in the silence. Every alien eye, sensor, and detection organ focused on her. "Honored members of the Galactic Council," she began, her voice carrying clearly through the vast space. "Humanity stands accused of being different. We are accused of expanding too quickly, of fighting too hard, of refusing to follow ancient ways that we did not help create. We are accused of being unpredictable." She paused, looking around at the sea of alien faces. "We do not deny these charges. We are different. We do expand quickly because we have learned that growth means survival. We fight hard because we protect what we love. We do not follow all your ancient customs because we are not ancient. We have been in space for less than a century, while some of you have traveled between stars for millions of years." A sound like breaking glass came from the Synthari delegation. Jiwan ignored it and continued. "But we have also brought gifts to this galaxy. Human medicine has saved billions of lives across dozens of species. Human technology has improved transportation, communication, and manufacturing for everyone. Human diplomats have prevented wars and human soldiers have stopped raiders from attacking peaceful worlds. The confluence interrupted her. The Council recognizes humanity's contributions. However, the question is not what humanity has done, but what humanity might do. The pattern suggests that humans will continue to expand, continue to disrupt established systems, and continue to act in unpredictable ways. Jiwan felt her heart sink, but her voice remained steady. Then you are not judging us for our crimes, but for your fears about our future. The vote will now begin, the confluence announced. The process was silent and swift. Each species cast their vote through quantum communicators, and the results appeared instantly on the great display screens. Around the hall, Jiwan watched the numbers climb. 831 votes in favor of expulsion. Only 16 abstentions. 0 votes in humanity's favor. Even the Valari had voted against them. The confluence spoke the verdict. By overwhelming majority, the Galactic Council votes to expel humanity from galactic civilization. All human colonies, stations, and vessels must withdraw to the Sol system within 30 standard days. Any human presence in galactic space after this deadline will be considered an act of war. Security guards, towering beings in powered armor, moved toward Jiwan and her team. Their diplomatic immunity was gone. As they were escorted from the hall, Jiwan activated a small device hidden in her sleeve, sending a coded message to Earth. Captain Hyunwoo Lee received the message aboard his ship. The galaxy has made its choice. Now we make ours. As the human, delegation was loaded onto their transport and ordered to leave immediately. Jiwan looked back at the crystal spires of Nexus Prime. 30 years of careful diplomacy, of building relationships, of proving humanity's worth had ended in this moment. But as their ship lifted off and headed for the long journey home, Jiwan was not thinking about failure. She was thinking about what came next. The galaxy had just made the biggest mistake in its long history. They had underestimated humanity. 6 months had passed since the vote that changed everything. Director Sun-hee Choi stood in the command center on Luna, watching hundreds of screens that showed humanity's great retreat. Each screen displayed a different human colony, a different group of people packing their lives into cargo ships and heading home to Sol system. The numbers were staggering. Over 43 worlds were being abandoned. 12 million humans were leaving their homes, bringing only what they could carry. The rest, the buildings, the farms, the factories, the entire infrastructure of human expansion, was being left behind for the aliens to destroy or claim. Status report from Kepler Station, called out Lieutenant Daeho Kim, who now served as Sun-hee's aide. Commander An says the last transport will launch in 6 hours. Sun-hee nodded, but her heart was heavy. Commander Jinwoo An was evacuating humanity's furthest outpost, a research station that had been studying a unique stellar phenomenon for 8 years. All that work, all those discoveries, would be lost. On his ship orbiting Kepler Station, Commander An watched his crew prepare for departure. The station had been home to 3,000 scientists and support staff. Now it was almost empty. Just a few security teams making sure nothing valuable was left behind for the aliens. "Sir," his navigation officer reported, "we have company." An looked at the main screen and saw them. A dozen alien warships holding position just outside the system. Galactic enforcement vessels, making sure humanity followed the expulsion order exactly. They had been shadowing every human evacuation. Fleet watching with their sensors, recording everything. "They're making sure we don't take anything they consider theirs," An said quietly, "even though we built it all with our own hands." The truth was worse than most humans knew. The Galactic Council had ruled that any technology developed on worlds outside Sol system belonged to galactic civilization, not to humanity. Anything too advanced had to be left behind or destroyed. The aliens were taking everything valuable and leaving humans with only basic technology. But not all humans were following orders. Dr. Yoonji Nam had been working alone in her laboratory on the edge of the Kepler system when the evacuation order came. She was a quantum physicist, and she had been studying something extraordinary: strange patterns in the cosmic background radiation that suggested space itself had layers, like an onion with multiple skins. Instead of packing her equipment, Yoonji spent her last days completing her research. She discovered that these space layers could be accessed, that ships might be able to move between them like submarines moving between different depths of ocean. She called it dimensional fold theory. As the evacuation ships prepared to leave, Yoonji transmitted all her data to Professor Sang-Ho Yu back on Earth. The transmission was hidden inside normal communication channels, disguised as personal messages. The aliens monitoring the evacuation never knew that humanity's future was being uploaded in that moment. Meanwhile, in the outer colonies, something else was happening. General Min Jae-ko had been Earth's military coordinator for the colonial territories. Instead of ordering all forces to retreat, he had sent secret messages to certain colony leaders, the ones who had proven they could think for themselves. Governor Hyeri Bai of New Busan received one of these messages. Her colony was successful and independent. Located on the edge of explored space where few aliens ever traveled, the message from General Ko was simple: you have a choice. Hyeri gathered her council in the colony's main hall. New Busan had 50,000 residents, good defenses, and enough resources to survive on its own. They had built something beautiful on their world: cities that blended with the natural landscape, farms that produced more food than they needed, and factories that could make almost anything. Earth says we should abandon our homes, Hyeri told her council. The aliens say we have no right to be here, but this is our world. We built it. We made it bloom. The vote in New Busan was quick and unanimous. They would not leave. They would cut all communications with Earth and the galaxy, disappear from all records, and survive on their own. Other colonies made the same choice. 17 worlds in total decided to vanish rather than surrender. Back on Earth, Admiral Ji-won Park addressed the Global Defense Council. The room was filled with humanity's leaders, all trying to understand what came next for their species. The evacuation will be complete in 3 weeks, Park reported. 12 million people coming home, along with whatever technology and resources we could save. The aliens have taken everything else. President of the United Earth Alliance, an elderly woman named Boram Shin, asked the question everyone was thinking. What happens now? Do we just sit in Sol System forever? Admiral Park's expression was grim. The aliens think they have caged us. They think humans will accept this judgment and fade away into history. They are wrong. She activated a holographic display that showed the galaxy. For 30 years, we tried to be good neighbors. We followed their rules, respected their customs, and asked for nothing but the right to exist. They repaid us with exile and theft. Captain Hyunwoo Lee, now promoted to admiral, stood up from his chair. Our evacuation fleets have been gathering intelligence. Every alien ship that shadowed us, every enforcement vessel, every checkpoint. We recorded their positions, their patrol patterns, their weaknesses. Dr. Soman Kang, Earth's top communications expert, added her own report. I've been monitoring alien communications since the vote. The galaxy is not as united as they pretended. 3 major species blocks are forming, and they're already arguing about how to divide human territories. The meeting continued for hours, but the decision was already made. Humanity would not accept exile. They would not fade quietly into history. The galaxy had wanted them gone, but the galaxy was about to learn that humans were very hard to get rid of. In the weeks that followed, the last human ships left their colonies and headed home. The aliens celebrated, thinking they had solved their human problem. They began dividing up human territories and technologies among themselves, squabbling over who got what. But they had made several critical mistakes. They had underestimated human adaptability. They had given humanity a common enemy and a shared purpose. And they had no idea that some human colonies had simply disappeared, or that Earth scientists were already working on technologies that would change everything. As the evacuation transports reached Sol System and discharged their refugees. Admiral Park sent one final message to the Galactic Council. "You wanted us gone. Consider it done. But remember, you taught us that in this universe, species stand alone." The message was received, noted, and filed away by alien bureaucrats who thought the human chapter of galactic history was over. They were completely wrong. 2 years had passed since humanity's expulsion from galactic civilization. In a secret laboratory hidden beneath the ice of Europa, Dr. Woojin Im stared at the readouts from his latest experiment. The numbers were impossible, but they were also real. "The dimensional fold is stable," he announced to his team. "We can actually do this." Professor Sang-Ho Yu, who had traveled from Earth to witness this moment, could hardly believe what he was seeing. The data that Dr. Yoonji Nam had transmitted during the evacuation had led to this breakthrough. Space itself had layers, and humans had just learned to move between them. The test ship in the laboratory was small, barely larger than a fighter craft. But as Woojin activated the dimensional fold drive, the ship simply vanished. It didn't move through space. It slipped between the layers of reality itself. Sensors couldn't detect it. Gravity didn't affect it. For all practical purposes, it had become a ghost. "How long can it stay folded?" Sang-Ho asked. "Indefinitely," Woojin replied. "The ship exists in parallel space-time. It can travel, observe, even attack, then fold back to normal space wherever it chooses." This was the breakthrough humanity needed. While the aliens thought humans were trapped in Sol System, they would soon learn that humans could go anywhere without being detected. Admiral Hyunwoo Lee received the news while inspecting the construction of new ships in the asteroid belt. The past 2 years had been busy for humanity. The returning colonists had brought knowledge, experience, and a burning desire for revenge. Earth's industrial capacity had tripled as millions of skilled workers applied their colonial expertise to manufacturing. "Prepare the Indomitable for its first mission," Lee ordered. The Indomitable was the first full-size starship equipped with dimensional fold technology. Its mission would be to reach the lost colonies, the ones that had chosen to disappear rather than surrender. The journey to New Busan should have taken 6 months through normal space. Using the fold drive, the Indomitable made the trip in 3 days, appearing in the system like a ghost ship materializing from another dimension. Governor. Yeri Bay was in her office when the communications alert sounded. Her security chief, Major Taeyong Park, burst through the door with news that should have been impossible. "Ma'am, we have a human starship requesting permission to land. They say they're from Earth." Yeri's heart raced. For 2 years, New Busan had maintained complete communication silence. They had hidden from alien patrols, developed their own technologies, and survived on their own. The appearance of an Earth ship meant either rescue or disaster. When Admiral Lee stepped off the landing shuttle, Yeri greeted him personally. The reunion was emotional, proof that neither Earth nor the hidden colonies had forgotten each other. "How many colonies survived?" was Lee's first question. 17 worlds chose to disappear," Yeri replied. 15 are still operational. We've been in contact through quantum entanglement communicators that the aliens can't detect." Lee was amazed by what he saw on New Busan. The colony had not just survived, it had thrived. The population had grown to 70,000. Their technology had advanced in directions Earth scientists had never considered. Most importantly, they had been busy. Intelligence Officer Eunice Seo briefed Lee on their activities. "We've been raiding alien trade routes for 2 years, she explained, showing him a warehouse full of alien equipment. Nothing violent, nothing that would reveal human involvement. Just missing cargo ships, unexplained technical failures, mysterious accidents. The stolen alien technology had been sent to Chief Engineer Tae-Woo Lim, who had accomplished something remarkable. Unlike alien species which specialized in specific types of technology, humans had learned to integrate everything. Lim's workshop contained hybrid devices that combined the best features of dozens of different alien technologies. Alien species follow rigid development paths, Lim explained to Lee. They can't imagine using Syntheri energy crystals with Volari navigation systems and hegemon weapons. But humans can make anything work with anything else. The results were impressive. Human ships were now faster than Valari vessels, more heavily armed than hegemon warships, and more efficient than Synthari energy systems. By combining technologies that aliens never mixed, humans had created something entirely new. But the real revelation came when Yuna showed Lee the intelligence they had gathered. The hidden colonies had been monitoring alien communications for 2 years, and the picture was not good for galactic civilization. The Galactic Council is falling apart, Yuna reported. Without humans as a common threat, old rivalries have returned. The Synthari Empire and the Hegemon Collective are on the edge of war. The Valari are trying to stay neutral, but losing influence. Minor species are choosing sides. Dr. Somin Kang, monitoring galactic communications from Earth, had noticed the same patterns. 3 major power blocks were forming, each trying to claim the largest share of former human territories. Trade wars were breaking out. Border disputes were escalating into military confrontations. "They're destroying themselves," Somin reported to Admiral Park during a secure communication. "The peace they claim to be protecting is falling apart, without humans to blame for all their problems." But Lee learned something else during his visit to New Busan, something that changed everything about humanity's plans. The hidden colonies had discovered they were not alone. Other species, minor ones that the Galactic Council had ignored or oppressed, had been watching humanity's exile with interest. Ambassador Dokyeon Ryu had been Earth's diplomatic representative to the minor species before the expulsion. Now he emerged from the shadows with representatives of 43 species that had never been full members of the Galactic Council. "They remember human fairness," Ryu explained. "When humans traded with minor species, we offered equal terms. When we colonized worlds, we often shared them. The major species treated these peoples as servants or ignored them completely. These minor species controlled strategic resources, commanded small but effective fleets, and most importantly, they were angry at the major powers. They had watched the human expulsion with growing fear, knowing they could be next." The meeting between human and minor species representatives took place in secret on New Busan. The agreement was simple. Humans would share their hybrid technology and dimensional fold capabilities. In return, the minor species would provide bases, resources, and support for what everyone knew was coming. As Admiral Lee prepared to return to Earth with this news, Governor Bay asked him the question that was on everyone's mind. "When do we stop hiding and start fighting?" Lee's answer was simple. Soon. Very soon. The galaxy thought humanity was gone, trapped in Sol system and no longer a threat. They were about to learn that humans had spent 2 years becoming stronger, smarter, and more dangerous than ever before. The ghosts were about to become very real. 5 years after the expulsion, humanity had become a legend whispered in fear across the galaxy. Admiral Youngsu Jang commanded what was officially called the Reconnaissance Fleet, but everyone knew its real name, the Phantom Fleet. His ships could appear anywhere, strike without warning, and vanish before enemy forces could respond. The bridge of his flagship, the Ghost Wind, looked like no alien vessel ever built. Human engineers had combined technologies from 17 different species, creating something that shouldn't have worked but functioned perfectly. The ship could fold through dimensions, cloak using Valari stealth systems, and fire weapons powered by Synthari energy crystals. "Target acquired," reported his tactical officer, Lieutenant Hana Jong. "Hegemon Military Research Facility, Sigma 7 system. Heavy defenses, but they're not expecting us." Jang studied the tactical display. The facility was developing new weapon systems intended for use against human colonies, if any humans had been found. The irony was not lost on him. "Begin the approach." Silent running. The Ghost Wind slipped into dimensional fold space, becoming invisible to every sensor known to galactic science. Along with 3 other Phantom ships, it moved through the layers of reality toward its target. Captain Gao commanded one of those ships, the stealth destroyer Shadow Walker. She was the youngest captain in the human fleet, but she had earned her position through a combination of brilliance and ruthlessness that impressed even hardened veterans. The facility's shields are designed to stop conventional attacks, she reported over the quantum communicator. But they can't shield against something that attacks from parallel dimensions. The attack was swift and surgical. The phantom ships emerged from dimensional fold space inside the facility's shields, struck at critical targets and vanished again. Before the defense systems could even identify what had attacked them, they took no lives. Humans had learned that mysterious technical failures were more frightening than obvious violence, but they took something much more valuable than alien lives. They took data. 3 days later, Captain O sat in a secure briefing room on Europa, reviewing what they had discovered in the Hegemon facility's computers. What she found made her blood run cold. "They're planning genocide," she reported to the assembled commanders. "Complete extinction of humanity. Not exile, elimination." The evidence was overwhelming. For 5 years, while humanity had been hiding and growing stronger, the major alien powers had been preparing for a final solution to their human problem. The plan was called solar cleansing, and it was scheduled to begin in 6 months. President Boram Shin received the intelligence report in her office on Earth. She was older now, her hair completely gray, but her mind was as sharp as ever. Reading the documents that Captain O had stolen, she felt a rage that surprised her with its intensity. "They planned this from the beginning," she said to Admiral G1 Park, who had come to deliver the report personally. "The expulsion was never about exile. It was about giving them time to prepare for extermination." The plan was sophisticated and thorough. The 3 major power blocks, the Synthari Empire, the Hegemon Collective, and the Volari Federation, had spent 5 years building a massive fleet. Once it was complete, they would surround Sol System and destroy everything inside it. No negotiations, no surrender, just complete annihilation. But there was more. The aliens had also identified and targeted the hidden human colonies. Advanced sensor networks were being deployed to search for dimensional fold signatures. Special weapons were being developed to attack ships in parallel space-time. The galaxy's greatest scientific minds had spent 5 years learning how to kill humans more effectively. Dr. Mina Song, now director of the Alien Technology Integration Division, studied the weapons specifications with professional interest and personal horror. "They've created dimensional disruptors," she reported, "weapons specifically designed to destroy fold space vessels. They've been preparing for our capabilities." The revelation changed everything. Humanity's leaders gathered in the secure conference room beneath the Luna Command Center. The question was no longer whether to fight, but how to win a war against the entire galaxy. "We have advantages," Admiral Park pointed out. "They think we're still trapped in Sol System. They don't know about our alliance with the minor species. They don't know how far our technology has advanced." General Min-jae Ko, now commanding all human military forces, laid out the strategic situation. "We have 47 phantom ships, 17 hidden colony worlds, and 43 minor species, allies. The enemy has over 3,000 capital ships and the industrial capacity of 800 species." The numbers were not encouraging, but Commander Kyung-min Park, Admiral Park's son and leader of the Elite Intelligence Division, had different information. "The galaxy isn't united," he reported. "Our intelligence networks show massive internal conflicts. They're only cooperating on the human question because they see us as an existential threat." His latest mission had been the most dangerous yet, infiltrating the Galactic Council's central database on Nexus Prime. Using dimensional fold technology, he had appeared inside the most secure facility in known space and copied their most classified files. What he found was even worse than the genocide plan. The major powers weren't just planning to eliminate humanity. They were planning to divide human technology and territories among themselves. Each power block believed it would emerge from the war as the galaxy's dominant force. "They're using humanity's extinction as the opening move in their own war against each other," Kyung-min explained. "Once we're gone, they plan to fight for control of the galaxy." The intelligence also revealed internal dissent within the major powers. Many species were uncomfortable with genocide, even against humans. Some were secretly questioning whether humanity really posed the threat their leaders claimed. Others were worried about what their own futures would be in a galaxy ruled by three warring empires. Dr. Wu Jin Im had been working on new applications for dimensional fold technology. His latest breakthrough was the dimensional fold generator, a massive device that could create spatial anomalies large enough to trap entire fleets in parallel space-time layers. "We can turn their numbers against them," he explained to the War Council. "Large fleets are vulnerable to dimensional fold attacks in ways that small groups are not." As the meeting continued late into the night, President Shin made the decision that would define humanity's future. "We will not wait for them to come to us," she announced. "We will not fight defensively. We will take this war to them before they're ready." Admiral Park nodded grimly. "The Phantom Fleet has been preparing for this moment for 5 years. It's time to show the galaxy what humans can really do when they stop trying to be polite neighbors." The orders went out through quantum communicators to 17 hidden worlds and 43 allied species. The Phantom ships received new targeting data. The dimensional fold generators were loaded onto specially modified vessels. The galaxy had voted to cast out humanity, then planned to exterminate them. They were about to learn that cornering a species that had evolved by fighting for survival was the worst mistake in galactic history. The war was about to begin, and humanity would not be the victims this time. The day that would be remembered as Silent Dawn began like any other across the galaxy. Alien traders hauled cargo between systems. Military patrols followed their regular routes. Scientists worked in their laboratories. Politicians made speeches about galactic unity and the coming final solution to the human problem. None of them knew that humanity had already won the war. Fleet Admiral Jaiwan Park stood on the bridge of the Retribution, humanity's most advanced warship. Around her, holographic displays showed the positions of Phantom ships across 200 star systems. Each ship was invisible, existing in dimensional fold space, waiting for her signal. "All units report ready," announced Captain Hyunwoo Lee, now her second in command. "The galaxy is about to learn what happens when you corner humanity." At exactly 0800 Galactic Standard Time, the attack began simultaneously across the galaxy. Phantom ships emerged from dimensional fold space at military bases, research facilities, shipyards, and communication hubs. They struck with precision that amazed even their commanders, disabled critical systems, and vanished before enemy forces could respond. On the bridge of the Shadow Walker, Captain Ji Hee-oh watched her crew work with smooth efficiency. They had practiced these attacks for years, knowing this day would come. "Target neutralized," she reported. "The Hegemon 6th Fleet is dead in space, moving to secondary objectives." The aliens' response was chaos. Their sensors showed attacks happening everywhere at once, but they couldn't find the attackers. Ships that should have been light years apart were being hit simultaneously. Defense systems designed to stop any known weapon were useless against attacks that came from parallel dimensions. But the real shock came when Admiral Park's broadcast began transmitting on every communication channel in the galaxy. Her image appeared on screens in alien homes, government buildings, and military command centers. The woman the galaxy had expelled 5 years ago was back, and she was no longer asking for permission. "People of the galaxy," she began, her voice calm but carrying the weight of absolute authority. "For 5 years you believed humanity was gone. You were wrong. We have been here all along, watching, learning, preparing." On Nexus Prime, the crystal towers of the Galactic Council shook as dimensional fold generators created spatial anomalies around the planet. The most secure world in known space found itself trapped in a bubble of twisted spacetime, cut off from the rest of the galaxy. The Syntheri First Admiral, a being of pure crystal and energy, tried to coordinate a response from his flagship, but every time his fleet moved to engage human forces, they found nothing but empty space. The humans were fighting a war unlike anything in galactic history. "You voted to cast us out," Admiral Park's broadcast continued, "because you feared what we might become, but your real crime was discovered in your own files. You didn't plan exile, you planned genocide. You intended to murder every human in the galaxy, including children who had never harmed anyone." Admiral Young-Soo Jang led the assault on the Hegemon Military Production Center at Arcturus. His phantom fleet materialized inside the shipyard's defensive perimeter, their weapons charging. But instead of destroying the facility, they did something the aliens found even more terrifying. They began converting it. Human engineers, protected by dimensional fold fields, swarmed over the alien shipyard. In hours, they had reprogrammed the automated systems, changed the manufacturing protocols, and turned the facility into a human production center. The aliens watched helplessly as their own shipyard began building human vessels. The pattern repeated across the galaxy. Humanity wasn't just attacking. They were conquering, converting, and claiming. Every military facility they captured became a human base. Every research station became a source of technology to integrate into human systems. But Admiral Park had saved the most important revelation for last. "We did not fight this war alone," she announced, and suddenly alien fleets began appearing throughout the galaxy, not the major powers, the minor species that had been ignored, oppressed, and dismissed for millennia. Ambassador Dokyun Ryu had spent 5 years building this coalition. 43 species had joined humanity, equipped with human technology and trained in human tactics. The Cathari, master shipbuilders who had been forced to work as slaves for the Hegemon Collective, emerged with fleets of hybrid vessels that outclassed anything the major powers possessed. The Zendari, peaceful traders who had been taxed into poverty by the Syntheri Empire, revealed that they controlled the galaxy's most important trade routes. With human support, they began an economic blockade that crippled enemy supply lines. The war's turning point came at the Battle of Nexus Prime itself. The crystal world that housed the Galactic Council had been the symbol of alien authority for thousands of years. Now it became the stage for humanity's final victory. Admiral Young-Soo Jang commanded the combined human and allied fleet that emerged from dimensional fold space around the planet. Dr. Woojin Im's dimensional fold generators had trapped the system's defense fleet in parallel space-time layers, leaving Nexus Prime defenseless. But Admiral Park had not come to destroy the crystal towers. She had come to replace them. The landing was unopposed. Human soldiers and their alien allies walked through the Great Hall where humanity had been condemned 5 years earlier. The Confluence, the ancient AI that had pronounced the expulsion verdict, found itself facing Fleet Admiral Park once again. "The Galactic Council is dissolved," Park announced to the assembled alien representatives, most of whom had been captured trying to escape the system. "The age of the major powers ruling over everyone else is over." What followed was not conquest, but transformation. The new Galactic Federation that emerged from the war was built on principles that humans understood: merit instead of age, contribution instead of tradition, cooperation instead of domination. President Borum Shin, now elderly but still sharp, addressed the new Federation from Earth. "We did not fight this war to rule the galaxy," she explained. "We fought to ensure that no species would ever again vote to exterminate another species for being different." The changes were dramatic. The minor species, armed with human technology and supported by human allies, became equal partners in galactic civilization. Trade was restructured to be fair rather than exploitative. Military forces were integrated to prevent any single power from dominating others. Governor Hieri Bai, now appointed as Minister of Colonial Affairs, oversaw the rapid expansion of human settlements throughout the galaxy. But these were not conquests. They were partnerships. Humans shared worlds with their alien allies, just as they had always preferred to do. The former major powers found themselves in an unfamiliar position. They were just 3 voices among hundreds in the new Federation. Some adapted and prospered. Others sulked and plotted. But none of them could threaten galactic peace while human phantom fleets patrolled the stars. 5 years later, Admiral Park walked through the rebuilt halls of Nexus Prime. The crystal towers still reached toward the stars, but now they housed a federation based on cooperation rather than domination. Representatives from over 400 species worked together on problems that had seemed impossible under the old system. She paused at the spot where she had stood during humanity's trial. A small plaque marked the location, with words in dozens of languages. Here stood the last victims of galactic prejudice: Captain Jihi, Oh, now Admiral of the Federation's Exploration Division joined her former commander. Any regrets? She asked. Admiral Park looked out at the busy hall, filled with humans and aliens working side by side. The galaxy wanted us, gone because they feared what we might become, she said, repeating the words from her wartime broadcast. They were right to fear us, but wrong about what that would mean for the galaxy. Humanity had not conquered the galaxy. They had liberated it. The species that had been cast out for being different had used that difference to create something better than what came before. The war was over. The galaxy was free. And humanity had finally found its place among the stars. Not as conquerors, but as the guardians who made sure no species would ever stand alone again.